Hey kids, and welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. Have you ever wondered what happened to your favourite bands that used to go and see in the 60s and 70s? You'd jump into someone's car with all your friends and go off to a venue. Church halls, town halls, anywhere you could think of having a band. And you didn't have to be 18 to get in. All these bands had hits on the charts, and some nights they'd play 5 or 6 gigs a night. They'd rock up, play their hits, and then head off to another gig. Heady days following your favourite group around town. And the music was fantastic, so good that it's still being played today. So where are these singers, songwriters and musicians now? Well, some of them are still writing, recording and performing, and you can see them all here on Wrokdown.
I look into your eyes, I can't help thinking. It comes as no surprise, my heart is sinking. I know you're leaving, seeing's believing. It's in your eyes. Comes as no surprise. It's in the way you smiled. It wasn't quite your style. I looked into your eyes. I knew it wasn't right. I know you're leaving. Seeing's it's in your eyes. It comes as no surprise. Your hand is shaking. I try to understand, but my heart is breaking. I know you're leaving, seeing's believing. This establishmentarianism. It comes as no surprise. It comes
Back in 1971, I used to haunt a little place in the city called Sebastian's. I used to go there on a Friday night and see a band called the Indelible Murtceps. And then sometimes I could go back on maybe the Saturday night and see my favourite band, Spectrum. And I believe that at some stage they actually supported themselves. The one and only lead singer, Mike Rudd.
Hi, Wendy.
How are you?
I'm good, yes. Surprisingly good, really.
Surprisingly really good. You were saying before that you actually had a third band that you would put on for one song.
Yes, well, the TF Much Ballroom was a nice innovation by our agency at that stage, which kind of invited all the people from the suburbs to come and sample the hippie culture. And as leading exponents of that, at the time, we were just about on all the TF Much and subsequent Much More ballrooms. And so, yeah, we did quite a few presentations there where the Murtceps actually supported Spectrum, but we had a third band as well, which was little, I think it only played the once, which was called the Camels. I don't know why we wouldn't do it these days, but we
get away with it these days.
We did a Camels ad, which was also very brief, and we had this one song that Bruce Smeaton wrote, and so that was our third band. It came out and did a longish version of the Camels theme tune.
Well, it was a fantastic time, and I remember, well, anyone that basically didn't know the anthemic I'll Be Gone must have had their heads buried in the sand. And of course, these days there would obviously always be pressure for you to bring out the older songs, even though you've written albums of new material.
Yes.
Do you still feel the pressure to perform some of the older stuff?
Not so much as a band that may have had half a dozen huge hits. I mean, we were kind of fortunate in that respect, and yet it's a double-edged sword. We were fortunate in that we had the one hit, and people's expectations don't go beyond that. They just say, play that song and we're happy. In fact, we've kind of moved it to the front of the set these days, so
it's out of the way.
So, well, that people don't get to the other end of the night and go, oh, it's them. Had I known it was them, I would have enjoyed the rest of the night. Which is, is a bit galling, but on the other hand, it gives us freedom to pick and choose what we want out of the old material and keep on adding new material.
New material. Bill Putt,
yes.
You two have been together for
38 years and not counting.
You get less for murder, you realise that, don't you?
Damn. Yes, well, but you don't think about these things, and we just get along, and we perform in the full Spectrum lineup, which is a quartet with keyboards, which is nice. That's just kind of recent, that. But we mostly perform as a trio, bass, guitar, drums loosely, and then we're performing more often these days as a duo, just Bill and myself.
Wrokdown.
Okay, so having had Spectrum, Murtceps, the Heaters, what can people expect to hear in the sets that you play now?
Well, if we do a longish evening, we'll start off with a kind of acoustic thing, a nylon string thing where we revisit stuff that we've done before, but transposed into a kind of more acousticy kind of thing, more ambient feel, and plus some of the newer stuff that we've done, like on the Living on a Volcano album, which was very laid back and very ambient. Then we'll do a blues set, which is just pretty full-on standard blues. We don't really depart too much from the standard repertoire there, but I actually enjoy that a hell of a lot, and I kind of see it as a springboard into a possible career doing jazz, because I kind of always have loved jazz, and I thought, that's something I should be doing. Anyway, the last set is our retro set, so
right.
we get it stuck into the older Spectrum stuff and Ariel stuff. Yeah.
Heaters?
Well, there's the odd I suppose heaters thing. What I'd like to do is to actually. We've had a number of singles. Probably that period, the heaters period, was more fruitful for singles, and so if we could do nylon string versions of our singles, do a kind of acoustic set of our singles, that'd be great.
Such as?
Oh, well, Head Job.
Of course.
I Can Do Anything. Those kind of more laid back kind of songs would come up a treat.
Yeah, and Ariel.
Ariel, yes. Well, Jamaican Farewell. We do a low key version of that already, and look, Ariel was a very interesting phase, very pressure cooked kind of period, because we finished up with Spectrum. We started rehearsal immediately with Tim and Nigel, whom we'd never worked with before, and a month later we kind of debuted a complete new repertoire of material, which I thought was actually pretty brave under the circumstances, but that actually was the basis for the album that came out of Strange Fantastic Dream.
Fantastic. Ross Wilson.
Yeah.
Party Machine.
The boss.
The boss, Ross.
Yeah, well, in fact, Ross is really responsible for my having the nerve to go out and put a band together around the material that I was yet to write. Because at the end of the 2-year stint I had playing bass with the Party Machine, we were mostly doing Ross's stuff, about 80 or 90% of Ross's material, where we'd started off doing a small percentage and then moved on. And of course, playing with Ross Hannaford, I mean, watching him grow from a little round guy into this tall streak was something. But
how old was he when he started?
Well, when I joined, he was probably 17 or 18 or something like that. Yeah.
So you literally did watch him grow?
Absolutely, yes. And he was always a fantastic guitarist. I mean, it was always the same. He was just kind of intuitively tasteful in whatever he did. I've never heard him play a tasteless note.
No.
No, he's just like that. And if you watch a performance of Hannaford today, it's more what he doesn't play than what he does play.
Yes,
because you can see how much he's withholding. It's fantastic.
Okay, now today, these days, like the last 3 years, you've been recording product.
Oh yes.
Of course.
Yes, not constantly, but it's been sitting there, and we occasionally dabble on it with it. Yes.
Any prospects of it being released commercially?
Well, the idea, of course, was to release an album. Quite apart from the fact that CDs and albums are passé these days, the actual weight of expectation in my head about what a new Spectrum album should be was actually getting to be unnerving, and so I thought maybe the way to fix that is to release a series of EPs instead. And just release them so that they're available on the website, because we sell quite a bit of our material on the website, and go from there. And that'll have the advantage of being able to get the stuff out fairly quickly and start adding new material as well. So it'll make it a vibrant process instead of something kind of perfunctory and dead.
Yeah. The thing is that, of course, if you are releasing Spectrum material, people are going to expect to hear.
Well, they could.
Hits.
The way I was looking at it was completing the circle, and that's just a bit too ambitious, I think. I mean, the things have changed and evolved over the years, and there is a lot of experience gained. But as to whether we've become virtuoso musicians in the meantime, I don't think so.
Oh, you always were.
Oh no, well, yeah, pseudo, yeah.
No. Seriously. Okay, so basically people can have a look at your website, which is?
MikeRuddBillPutt.com.
Bill's even in that.
Yeah, oh yes. Can't get rid of the man.
Hey, Billy. Check it out. Mike Rudd.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back. Hey kids, here at Wrokdown we try to provide our audience with as much information as possible as to who's playing around town. Our roving reporter, over to you.
Good evening everybody, I'm Sherryn Love and welcome to Wrokdown. In this band called The Substitutes, I have here Peter Robinson. How are you, Peter?
I'm fine,
Lovely
thanks.
to see you again after all this time.
Well, it is.
It is. And how's life been treating you since Well, I'll better tell you, Peter Robinson is the bass player who used to be in The Strangers. In fact, I was checking out your video today on YouTube.
Really? You're doing that?
Yes, and I'm thinking, that's the man I remember. That's the man I remember. What have you been
We keep
doing?
in touch.
Yes.
All the boys still keep in touch.
That's fantastic. So you were in a wonderful band, of course. Everybody
yeah,
would
The
remember
Strangers,
The
yeah.
Strangers. They had wonderful songs. And I don't know if people know this, but I think that your songs came from other people. You didn't write your own songs.
Well, in those days, no bands actually wrote songs
No.
themselves. Most of the songs that we had were given to us by our record company, or more
Yeah.
to the point. Ron Tudor, who was our record manager,
Yes.
A&R person in those days, he gave us most of the songs that we actually recorded. Although Lady Scorpio, which was probably the
Wonderful
song I
song.
like best,
Oh, yes.
was written by Hans Paulson and Bruce Willis. Although when we first got it off Hans was a little hippie and he used to always like, well, where did you learn to go to him? And it wasn't like the way we changed it. But he liked it when we finished it. He thought it was okay.
Oh, wonderful. And you've been doing, of course, a lot since the days of The Strangers.
Well, then I joined the Seekers, and I was in the Seekers
Yes,
for
yes.
about 12 years. I took out the guy's place.
Wow.
And traveled
Do
around
any
the
of you
world.
remember him in The Seekers?
Probably not, because we never played in Australia.
Oh,
Most of our stuff was in Europe, Hong Kong, Singapore.
oh well.
But,
Rock and rollin', riding. Oh, yes, I remember
out
it well.
along the bay.
Big, lovely songs.
Lovely song.
Lovely songs.
I loved doing it. It was great fun. We had terrific fun.
And now you're playing The Substitutes, and
The Substitutes,
I'm
yeah.
really here to promote the fact that there is a drummer in The Substitutes called Peter Reed. Unfortunately, he's not here sitting with us, but he used to
He's
play.
practicing in the other room.
He's practicing, of course he is. He used to play with the New Dream, who had a hit with Groupie, which I'm
that's
sure
right.
was written about me, but he won't tell me.
It was written about you.
Yes, that's right. Are
I'm
you
getting
getting?
hot.
Am I making you hot,
Sitting next to you
darling?
was making me hot and bothered.
And The Substitutes are a wonderful band. In fact, they're probably the best 60s band around because you were all in the 60s.
That's right. We were actually there at the time.
Absolutely. And so you have a website which is,
www.thesubstitutes.com.au.
and you'll probably catch up with a whole lot of people and probably the band if you happen to be a groupie back in those days. Well, thank you very much, Peter. That was just lovely. Thank you very
We had a
much.
lovely chat,
I'll
didn't we?
shake your hand.
We
Thank
had a
you.
lovely chat.
Lovely chat. And thank you. See you. Back to you, Wendy.
Okay, here's a film clip from Mike Rudd. It's a new song that he's written called Rocket Girl.
Rocket girl, how I would love to rocket with you. Be your co-pilot, your lover too. How I would love to rocket with you. Rocket girl, would you like to take command of my ship? Take it for a spin and see if it fits. Would you like to take command of my ship? It's been around the world, but it's just me for a girl like you. Rocket girl, you should feel it when it's in hyperdrive. It's so responsive you could swear it's alive. You should feel it when it's in hyperdrive. You throw it in a loop, but it will come back through the hoop for you. It seems unnecessary to go interplanetary with you, baby. All I wanna do is talk it to a rocket girl like you. Rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl. How I would love to rock it with you, be your co-pilot, your lover too. How I would love to rock it with you. We'll fly to planet X and we'll do some buddy checks with you. We'll touch the speed of light, but I'll make it last all night with you. Rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl. All I wanna do is I can do it, rocket girl, like you. Rocket girl, rocket girl, rocket girl, my little rocket girl. Ah, yeah, my little rocket girl. Yeah, my little rocket girl. Oh, I wanna do it. All I wanna do is my little rocket girl, my little rocket girl. You say that you're from Venus, well I'm from Mars. I wanna see Uranus. You wanna touch the stars. I'll take you to my planet, my little rocket girl. All I wanna do is I could do it, rocket girl, like you. Rocket girl.